This one is called a quiz in name only, part one. I'll explain why it's only part one as we go. I want to say thanks very much to everyone who listened to the last two episodes that I did on my own, and for the support through those episodes. It was important to get it out there, and this episode is kind of is to kind of counterbalance the situation, and it's going to be a bit more lighthearted, and there won't be any mental health conversation and stuff on it, because we've had all these people on the podcast before, and it just, we had enough of it, so subscribe to our YouTube channel if you would. This one will probably be better to watch on YouTube, because we've got like a rogues gallery of lads in front of us here. So I'm going to start with the introductions, and I've got them written out here. So I'm going to have to start. I'll have to start with the man making his first appearance. He's the other half of the podcast. 97% of the time he gets things out on time, and his name is John Francis. How are you doing, John?
How are things, lads? Happy to be here finally.
Good to have you on. We'll go to our next guest. He was in studio for episode 6, 3 times live and joyful guest, which makes him the record holder for appearances. And he is also the man who made a synth remix of the podcast's tune. And his name is Calvin Doyle. How are you doing, Calvin?
Pretty good. Phenomenal.
Yeah, he's just breaking records every day.
So live and joyful.
Yeah, he just can't get enough of the joy. Don't slag that name. That's a good name. Okay. The next guest, he's a 2-time guest. He's been on he's on for episode 4 and episode, I think it says 17 there. Both in studio when we could do it outside of the coronavirus thing. And he's been a guest on Live and Joyful. And his name is Josh Chanin. How are you doing, Josh?
Good. I've realised I've made very little contribution to your podcast, though.
Not a lot, yeah.
After those two.
Yeah. Well, you can't compete with Calvin.
These two, no.
No. And another person who's been on 2 times, and both times he was allowed to come over here. He was on the Live and Joyful 2 once, and he is a man who has coached us all in jiu-jitsu to probably, fair to say, varying degrees of success. And his name is Martin Hickey. How you doing, Martin?
Well, all right. What's crack?
Thanks for coming on, Martin. I'm going to explain to the people what's going to go on here. So we've got a number of questions. Some of them are going to be scored. Some of them are not going to be scored. The lads got the questions that are going to be scored. They're going to be judged on my opinion only. And it's kind of a bit humiliating, because I pick off people's tastes, and I have a go, or I say well done, endorse them on it. I'm going to say that I said this to Martin, I think, the other day. Josh, put that down. He's gone already. Right. So we've got, I would say Calvin and John are the favorites, just from what just from taste. Just from taste. I've spoken to you all about music and films before. I could be completely wrong. I've been accused that this could be a fix before he put that card up, and that's fine. But it's going to be on my opinion. I want to thank everybody actually before, in case I forget this again, because everybody's got kids and dogs and all this kinds of things. All right. Thanks very much for coming on, Ollie. That wasn't a dig at you. John is a dog as well. John is
a dog.
Yeah, he is a dog. I don't have kids or dogs, so I can be here all day, every day, and no problem. I've got a big, lovely fan over there. I was telling Calvin earlier. But so we're going to start off. The first question, okay? Oh, this is going to be good. The first question is, it's going to be a question that is going to be scored. The reason I'm asking this question is because Calvin sent this question in to me back in on episode 40 when I was doing the questions episode. And the question is the greatest power ballad. All right. So I thought the best way of doing it, because I was going to do it like by age, and then I thought it's unfair on Martin. So I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go start with Calvin, because of alphabetical order, like Martin says. I'm going to start with Calvin. Calvin, what do you have as the greatest power ballad?
Greatest power ballad of all time. I have "In the Air Tonight" by Phil Collins.
Oh, that is a very strong start, actually.
Yeah.
Is that purely for that drum fill?
Yes.
Okay, that's fair
and
enough.
The video too.
Yeah,
it's a gorilla.
And the gorilla.
Yeah.
The gorilla. Yeah, the gorilla's good actually. That is a very strong start. I'm gonna go over to John for this one.
Don't worry about it. I said Dream On by Aerosmith.
Oh, that is that's the pressure's on already with the lads. I have to say again.
That's weak. That last one's weak.
Do you think it's weak? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Let's see what you have.
So linear. You know, it was an
Linear.
obvious one. Like
You don't understand what that means.
it's his first time on air though, so I let him off.
Yeah, that's it.
He's probably
Thanks
a bit
for that.
nervous.
Listen, he can do what he wants. I already told you that. We're going over to Josh for his answer.
I went Meatloaf. I do anything for love. Open brackets, but I won't do that. Close brackets.
Close back. Thank you very much. No, that's linear.
I think you
brackets
Googled
part is
this.
The
important.
bread is important.
Do you know, actually, I would do anything for love. I don't know when exactly they came out, but it must have been around 94, 95, around about then. And I would have been 12 or 13, and it was like everywhere. And he was wearing that blouse that, you know, the blouse thing that he wears with the frilly shirts. And it was like the most 80s song from the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
The
like
video was epic.
yeah, oh, the videos. Yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast, wasn't it? That's
Yeah.
I think that's the idea behind it. So, Martin drinks water right when I ask him the question.
Betty Davis Eyes
Oh, that's a
by
great
Kim
song.
Carnes.
Oh, Jesus.
If you were training this week, you would have heard it.
Should I I don't know if I should give the scores now or should I wait till after? But
What's Derek's favorite song I would have once mentioned is the question.
Martin won that round.
What?
Wow.
Yeah,
Look at
I
that.
was very surprised that he's picking me. I'd say
Yeah.
it was going to just go against me out of hatefulness.
No.
No.
To be honest, because I have to with this and the guilty pleasures thing, I have to measure by guilty pleasure. You can measure by guilt and how bad the song is, but power ballads you can measure by how epic it is, but also by how bad it is. And yours won on both of those things. Do you know what I mean?
My guilty pleasure one is it's
I
a
can't wait.
screamer. You heard that already this week as well. You're right.
Oh, I can't wait. So yeah, so we got. I won't tell you the scores because I can add them up at the end, and we'll do it that way. But so the next one is just to let me write down on my other. I've got 4 copybooks here for I don't know no reason, but I have to kind of write everything down differently. But the next one is a non-scoring one, and I will move it around while we go. So. When I was answered this question on another podcast, it was biggest fear. When I was a kid, my biggest fear was heights. My biggest fear is bananas. All right, and that's it's a long story. I'm not going to go into it again. But I'm gonna. No, we don't need to go into that again down that road. But I'm going to ask Josh, what's your biggest fear?
Getting tapped by Derek.
That's come true though so many times. It's,
And I'm still petrified.
you can't say that. That makes me sound terrible. Is that really it?
Biggest fear.
Don't say anything. Don't say anything that it makes you sound. You know, don't try to sound deep. You know, just say something like heights.
I'm literally not scared of anything.
Okay, that's okay. I'm glad this isn't a scoring round because you would have got 0. John, what are you most afraid of?
When I was younger, I was always afraid of dying. Death. That was a big one for me when I was young. Some of the stuff I started getting into, like Alan Watts, a book I'm reading, The Wisdom of Insecurity, hits on a lot of that stuff. It's very good. If you've never read it before,
The boys love Alan Watts.
Yeah,
Josh
are we gonna have a
Calvin.
spin-off?
Yeah.
Us three, we'll have a spin-off with that Alan Watson podcast.
You should.
yeah, that's it.
Josh and Calvin both love Alan Watts. Well, I don't know if love him, but they know of him. So death is a good answer. Martin.
I can't actually think of anything specific off the top of my head, but like if I had to sing karaoke, like that would be a very cringy moment for me. Or so. If someone was like, "This is what you have to do," and you have to go up there and sing, like Derek knows, I'm a terrible singer. Like, there's no good way for that to end. You know what I mean?
You love it.
It's not like well, I would hate it as well at the same time, but I feel like I'd be Cameron Diaz in that film. You know what I mean? Where everyone would be screaming for me at the end because I just go for it. But it would be terrible.
But
And
I
I
think-
would hate every moment.
I think that there's a weird thing about karaoke because I played in a couple of bands when I was younger, like in my 20s, and I didn't mind that. But if someone asked me to do karaoke, I would hate having to do it. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what makes it like. what makes it like that? What makes it kind of weird? But yeah, I get the karaoke thing. Calvin, how about you?
Yeah, I don't know actually. Martin's one's good actually. Karaoke, dancing would be horrible. You know, if you had to dance in front of people, I'd hate that. I would not like that. Now, to tell you the truth.
I agree with that.
With
Let's
no
get-
one else dancing.
Yeah, it'd be horrible. I don't know how to dance at all.
Imagine a dancing version of karaoke. That would
Oh
be,
God.
Horrible.
yeah, that'd be the worst kind of thing in the world. So let's go back to the scoring one. So I've got we've got 3 desert island discs / songs. All right. I'm going to start with I'm going to start with John on this one. John, give us your first desert island disc.
First one, just a song, isn't it?
Yeah.
I went the Notorious B.I.G. Long Kiss Goodnight.
Oh, we started strong. He's saying, I can see Josh nodding his head there because he loves that. He loves it. I'm gonna start. That's going to be strong. That's kind of you. I know, John, you have a good mixture of music, but would he be your favorite rapper?
Oh, by a mile. I must have listened to him over more than 10 years, since early teens to now. I've been listening to him, and he's been dead since before I was born.
Yeah. It's mad to hear you say since my early teens 10 years ago. Don't know what that means. Don't understand that.
I'm old now. 10 years ago, I was 15. Keep forgetting what age I am.
God, he's so old, this guy. Martin, you've promised a doozy here, so give us one of your Desert Island.
Walking in Memphis.
Oh, that's a great song, though. That's a great song. Do you know what? I'm worried about Martin now. He's 2 answers in, and they've both been quite.
I think
strong.
he's researched you, Derek. I think
No.
he's researched you, and he's writing out what you would like.
What's Derek's Spotify playlist?
Yeah, everything I ever put up on Facebook, it's like he's in there. But I think I was worried about that because if anybody's going to do that, it was going to be Martin. And I thought if he starts saying A Day in the Life of the Beatles and all these songs that I've mentioned on the podcast, I was going to be onto it. But no, I wouldn't have named that. But that is actually a great song. Calvin, give us your first one.
Okay, Desert Island, right? I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
So I picked this one because I like to sing this really loud, right?
Okay.
And it's Every Time You Go Away by Paul Young.
Oh my God, my mom loves Paul Young.
Sing a bit of it there.
Yeah, give us a blast.
Every time you go
That
away.
is nice.
It's lovely. It's a real 80s love song.
It's Paul Young has an unreal voice. It's like nobody can really copy what Paul Young sings because his voice is quite very distinct. It's got that husk in it, but I know my mom loves Paul Young, and we would have known his what was his most famous song other than that. He did it at Live Aid. I'll remember later on, but it's a great tune. Josh, give us your first one.
You see, I have a little theme to my 3.
That's all right.
And it'll make sense at the end, I suppose. So the first one is when I'm enjoying the desert vibes. So it's Jack
Yes.
Johnson, Escape.
Okay.
More brackets, the Pina Colada song, close brackets.
Do you know what? I was going to say I don't know that song, but I do know that you use the bracket system again.
Yeah.
If you use a bracket in every one,
I can't. There's only one.
that's okay.
That was the last one.
I won't finish that sentence. But actually, that is surprisingly the least annoying of his songs, and he's got a lot of.
It's not really his, is it?
Well, no, you're right. It's not his,
Cool,
but his version, I suppose, is okay, and it scored higher than it should, but we'll go with it.
It's Desert
John,
Island.
We'll go. Yeah, I know I used Desert Island, but I knew you were going to do something like this. John, what's your second one?
Second one, I went for Creedence, Midnight Special.
Oh, you see, I knew Creedence was going to come out at some point. Creedence,
I'm wearing the t-shirt, I don't know if you can see.
there it is. You see, I had forgotten about Creedence, right? I listened to Creedence when I was 16, 17, smoking a bit of weed. Forgotten all about them. And then I met John in the gym, obviously, and I started listening to Creedence again because he was talking about them. And then you kind of get back into a band, you kind of go back and listen to their tunes. They're a great band. I thought you were going to do Born in the Bayou. Born in the Bayou. Yeah,
I listened to too, but I stuck with the Midnight Special.
That's there. These are very strong scores in this one. Although they are your favorite songs, I can't really hear the other ones. We'll go to who's next. Sorry, Martin. Loves drinking water when I ask him a question.
Gotta stay hydrated this
You
week,
do,
guys.
you do.
You know what I mean?
Agree.
If I can coach you on one thing during this podcast, it's hydration. All right. Red Nation by The Game.
No,
That's one of my favorite training songs.
now let me.
You can see my T-shirt is Red Nation themed.
This, God's sake, that is that's not the reason you wore the T-shirt.
No, it says Diffusion on it, and I like to wear Diffusion.
Like John, don't be trying to be like John and be cool.
What's John John's T-shirt?
Creedence Clearwater.
That's his T-shirt.
Yeah, but that's what the song the band he mentioned a minute ago.
Oh well, in that case, yeah, that's why I'm wearing this too then.
Okay, let me write this down.
Open bracket. The Game. Close bracket.
The Game in brackets. Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna go to Calvin for his next one.
Yeah, so this one, Desert Island, is the motivational one. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll by AC/DC.
Ooh.
And I've spoken to John about AC/DC, and I hate AC/DC, right? But wait for this. That song and Let There Be Rock are two songs that I think are great because Bon Scott is. I'm not really into the Brian Johnson kind of voice, but Bon Scott is great. So that's a strong one actually. Especially if is it the first rock song that had a bagpipe in it? It probably
bagpipe.
yeah, and he's loving life playing the bagpipe. Bagpipe. Panpipes. Imagine you playing
It's
that.
a good one to sing as well to get you going. You need that on a desert island, you see.
You could do whatever you want on a desert island.
Oh, that's true.
That's true. So we'll go with Josh then for this one, for his third.
I thought you forgot my name there for a minute.
No, I forgot with the order.
So I'm over the desert, enjoying the desert island feel, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel depressed. So
Yeah.
it's the Beatles Yesterday.
Oh, I mean,
Playing to the crowd a bit there.
he's playing to the crowd, and I like it.
Bit dodgy.
No, he's from there.
I'm from Liverpool, lads.
No, you're not. You're not.
He's the middle class Beatle. That's what he is. So I'm going to go to John for his third.
Third, I went with the Beatles. Also,
Oh my!
Nah,
He likes the Beatles. What was the song, John?
As if you two didn't have the options.
Let him finish his answer.
Hey Jude. Hey Jude.
See, you can't argue with Hey Jude.
It's a very good song.
You cannot argue with Hey Jude. But like John does like the Beatles. I know, like Martin has never mentioned the Beatles to me. If he started picking Beatles songs, I would know what he's up to. So Martin, what do you?
the Beatles.
My last one is Outnumbered by Dermot Kennedy.
Oh, is that
Because
the
I
one?
feel like you could listen to it if you're happy or sad. You know what I mean, it's a flexy song. You know, you're sad, outnumbered. You're happy, you're outnumbered too. But it's good. All right.
To be honest, it's the only. I think it's the only one of his that I know is his. If you know what I mean. Like I probably heard more of his songs, but I know that one because it's in the gym. You play it in the gym as well, don't you?
I would tend to play the songs I like when I'm in the gym. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you don't have to be snotty about it. That's just dropped from a 9 to an 8. Calvin.
Last one then I picked was Claire de Lune to chill out at nighttime.
That's a beautiful piece of music. You see, this is the kind of class I knew he was going to bring to this. I did see, and do you know what? And it's funny, the top row is what I think of the class, and then the two boys at the bottom is just, something different. But sorry, John. I had to add you in there, or else I would just be picking on Martin again, and it wouldn't be fair. But it's a piece of music like that, though, that gets it. You can't not give a top score because it's glorious. Is that everybody gone? Okay. So what? Yeah, it is. So what I'm going to do now is
I haven't done my third one.
Have you not done your third? You did. What is it?
It would be when I'm ready to leave the island and I built my shitty little raft.
Yeah.
I need to gear myself up. So it would be Eminem, Lose Yourself.
Right. Okay. So name your first two.
Jack Johnson, Escape.
Yeah.
To enjoy the vibes. And then the Beatles, Yesterday.
Yeah. So, yeah, Lose Yourself. Yeah, Lose Yourself's a good song. I'm going to give that. Again, Eminem, not my favorite, but it's one of my favorite of his. So I want to ask you, while I'm adding this up, okay, I want to ask what the story was with ye coming on to this, how you feel, because it was funny. I was joking with them. I can't remember if I was joking with Josh or Martin during the week, but there was always going to be ye two are quite competitive people.
Nah. We're not bothered.
You
We don't care.
no?
We don't care if we win all this.
No, this is the opposite. So
we wouldn't even compete in an ice bath. We wouldn't do something stupid.
the two boys literally competed in an ice bath. So John and Calvin are, to me, seem the complete opposite. So was there any, when you were writing up your answers, was there any bit of competitive kind of spirit to it, Josh?
No, because my guilty pleasures are just plain embarrassing. So, so not really, no.
And what about you, Martin?
Not really, because I'd have to like give the competition some credit, like, or you know what I mean? I'd have to be saying like this is a really serious competition. Like I really respect the judging and the scoring criteria. Considering I have absolutely no respect for any of that, then not really. Like I'm putting down my favorite films and not films I think that you'll score highly. Like.
Listen, just because we're not going to be talking about mental health, we still have to consider other people's feelings. I actually wasn't
finished there.
Okay, carry on.
Open bracket.
I'm sorry.
Close bracket.
What about Calvin? Calvin's best response was he messaged me during the week and he said, "I got your emails," and I sent back about the competitive nature of it, and Calvin said, "I didn't even know it was a quiz."
I thought it was we were just having a crack.
Well, no, we are, but I want it to be like, to have something at the end, and there will be a part 2 of this, not with
is it fair to say you're the most competitive because you turned it into a competition?
Do you think I'm competitive?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe you're a sly one. Do you know what I mean?
No, I might be. I've hidden this for 39 years, but maybe I am the sly one. Yeah.
You're really good at hiding it then.
Hey, John, no, I already asked you anyway. I don't know why you're... John, what about you?
No, I just come on for the crack like Calvin, to be honest.
That's what I mean. That's all I see. I'm not having. You always think I'm having a go at you. I'm not having a go at you. It's just I'm just pointing out that 2 people are quite competitive and 2 people are not. And I just wanted to see what the approach was to it. And it really just gave me a chance to add up the scores. So that was the point of the thing. So what happened in that one, right? There was only 2 points separating all 4 people. Calvin actually won by a point. To John, who was one below, and then the 2 lads one below that level. So it's going to be, I'd say it's going to be fairly close. But like I say, obviously Martin won the first one, so there's 1 point between everybody, if you know what I mean. Anyway, the next, actually no, let me do the advert. Let me get that part to do it for some stupid gym. I know. I've done this in every episode bar 1, and nobody spotted the 1, so I'm delighted about that. So here we go. Fusion Training Center, Monksland Athlone, a place to train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, and martial arts and CrossFit. A great atmosphere with experienced coaches and a real sense of community. If you want to join the team, find us on Facebook at Fusion Training Center or drop in for a chat. Fusion Training Center, train like a warrior. 3 experienced coaches on the screen here.
3.
How dare you, sir? No, but yeah, even Calvin said it, but I think he was being honest. Yeah, I do the kids' classes.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It'll hurt later.
Hey, we all have the different stages of the beard going on here.
Like, we do actually.
Martin's very early. I'm kind of a little scruffy on you, Derek.
Yeah.
Then John, then Josh is like a very trimmed, nice one, and Johnson is Western looking.
You
may have a good.
Yeah, it's quite. That's what I was going to say.
Wolverine.
It's kind of that's that character, Wolverine. That's what I was thinking about the thing coming out like that. No, it's good. I like it. Martin can't grow one though. That's why he's. No, he can. But it is ginger, isn't it? When you grow it,
it's manly.
Okay.
Very manly.
Too manly to grow.
It's not fair on everyone else.
Yeah, it's not fair. No one would come to Fusion. Too scared.
He'd already fight us. He doesn't want to, petrify us at the same time. So the next question again, it's a score in 1. This one I'm probably looking forward to this one the most. The worst film ever made. I will start with, because I have it written down here. I'll start with Calvin.
Okay, I actually know this. Right. Normally it's hard to pick the worst film ever made, right?
Yeah.
But I watched this last year during lockdown one night, and it's called Aloha, right? And it has Bradley Cooper in it, Rachel McAdams, and Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, yeah.
And it's the worst film I've ever seen in my whole life. I watched it for an hour and a bit. I don't really know what was going on. Everyone was kind of having affairs, and everyone was a real dickhead.
Yeah.
And no one was nice. And then also Emma Stone is like meant to be half Chinese and half Hawaiian.
Asian, yeah.
And she's Emma Stone. So it was terrible.
They didn't even do the Mickey Rooney makeup in Breakfast at Tiffany's, try to make her look Asian. They just didn't even bother. They just said she was Asian, and you had to go with it. But I think it was Cameron Crowe, wasn't it, who did that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's
an appalling film, and it's gonna be a high score. So I'm gonna go to Josh.
I was worried this was too obscure, but it's basically any Tyler Perry film. But particularly the most recent one is called Why Did I Get Married?
All right. Is this a Medea one? No, that's a separate thing, is it?
No, it's on Netflix. I don't know anything else about it, but someone suggested I watch it, and it was the shittest film I can remember ever watching. To the point where I was sitting with Martha watching it, and we watched it just for a laugh towards the end. But it's not a comedy. It's not supposed to be a comedy.
It's just not a comedy.
Well, I think it's supposed to be a comedy, but it's worth watching just to see how bad people can make movies and still get loads of money. I think there were 4 of them. I think they made 4 of them. This is the first one.
He tends to make franchises, though, doesn't he?
Oh my God. I don't know who's giving him money for it, but
I can only go on your description of it because I'm.
Well, you see, that was my worry. If you hadn't seen it, my other one was Rocky 5.
Yeah, that's a high score too.
I think everyone can agree with that.
No, I think you can go with that one because, like, it's the whole point of your. Just because I haven't seen it, it's different if it's a song I haven't heard. But with a film that your description of it is the worst film that ever made, I can go with it and what you say. And I know Tyler Perry's track record, and it's appalling. Like, John, what's the worst film ever made?
I went for. Okay, I remember watching this film. Okay, like the whole film. You're like an hour and 10 minutes in, and you're not sure, like, if the guy is kidnapped. So the gist is, there's this guy there, and he's had these people trapped down in his basement, and they think that he's just like kidnapping them, but he's telling them there's aliens outside, and we have to keep you in here safe. So you're like an hour and 25 minutes in. They kill the guy, they get outside, and all of a sudden these aliens are everywhere trying to fucking suck them up. It's crap. So much better if you just kidnapping them to kill them, get out. That's a brilliant film. Why the aliens? 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's chronic. The biggest waste of an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know what though? Because I didn't think it was terrible, but John's description is enough to give it a high score.
God, it's chronic.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean? When I say like if I think something is all right, but John's description of it is enough, and I would agree 100% about the aliens at the end. It does ruin the film.
If the guy was just kidnapping them and they're trapped in the basement, that's a good film. They kill them, they get out. That's a classic.
Yeah.
Why the aliens? What's the need?
Well, they're trying to get that bloody franchise together. They did Cloverfield, then they did 10 Cloverfield Lane, and then they did one like 2046 Cloverfield Lane or something.
The one before that where it's like first person and going around New York.
Yeah.
But the 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of the worst movies ever made.
Hates it. He hates it. What about you, Martin?
I think the film that I pick, I think you might actually like it because we've had this I told you I hate this film before. I can't think of many films. I was trying to think like how many.
I know what it is.
I think I know what it is.
Did I tell you already?
No. I think it's the same as I feel about this film. I think I know the one you mean.
Requiem for a Dream.
I was thinking something else, but yeah, we did talk about this.
I hate that film.
Why though?
Did everyone see it?
Yeah.
No.
The part where she's watching the telly and the game things, it's like, it's kind of a bit of a mind melter or something. You're like, I hated that film. I was just like, couldn't wait for it to end. And the longer it went on, the more it was actually hurting my head watching it. I was getting a bit freaked out from her getting freaked out on it, like, you know, that kind of way. And it just really, me and Heather watched it on holidays, and one of the lads, Kieran McNally, recommended to us, and he kept saying, but it's critically acclaimed, like, but by who, like, you know what I mean?
By me.
And I literally hated it. It was the worst film I ever seen. So I mean, I'm just going. I promised myself, just like the people on Love Island, I was going to be honest to myself before I came on here tonight. You know what I mean? And if I lose the quiz, at least I'm true to myself. You know what I mean?
Well, look, again, just because I like it doesn't mean that anybody else has to like it. But your description of it, and we spoke a bit, and when we talked about it before, we talked a bit about the bit at the end, which I describe to people if they haven't had a panic attack, what that last 10 minutes of the film feels like. It's horrendous, like. And I can see why people would hate it. And Kieran McNally is right; it was critically acclaimed, but that doesn't mean it's always good. But so I'm taking on your description of it. So obviously this is only a one answer question. So the scores finished on that one is 9-8-8-8, and the 9 went to Calvin on this one. So again, it's tight. I'm going to have to start getting a bit harsh with the scores from now on in, I'd say. But we'll move on. Why is my phone lighting up? But we'll move on to the next one. This is one I can do with you. I won't be able to do on part 2 when I eventually get it going. But I thought it'd be interesting to do this, right? You know that I'm not going to do this part, but you know I think is it kill, marry, snog? No, I'm not going to play it like that because that's not appropriate. I'm going to do it like this, right?
Isn't it snog, marry, avoid?
Whatever.
You don't kill anybody. Like
you can if you want.
Kill would make it interesting.
Okay, actually, I'm going to put kill in. I'll take out. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take
do all 3.
So kill. Okay, kill, live with, our night out with. I'm going to do that. They're the 3 options you have. I'll go to Martin first.
Who are we talking about?
The other 3 people on screen, not me.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you see?
What,
we didn't come around to have a nice time.
This is messy.
I'm really sorry about this, but Derek, you're dead anyway.
No, I'm not. I don't count. I'm not.
You're dead. Sorry, Derek is dead. Live with. John, John. I reckon you'll be kind of tidy, John. You know what I mean? You always come in, you're well groomed kind of a guy.
See his beard.
The night out part, I don't know. I've never seen Josh or Calvin drunk. So that's very interesting. I'd like to see you let loose some night, but you don't. I remember we had the Christmas party and you didn't even drink, Calvin. You didn't drink either, Josh. Actually, you're right.
I wasn't there.
Did you not come one time and not drink? No.
No.
I thought you arrived one year and didn't drink.
I was there one of the times not drinking.
You're dead, so I mean,
I'm not part of it.
No one isn't.
So the night out, I bring Josh on the night out, just because I feel like he needs to come out of his shell a bit. You know what I mean?
So
that's fair.
Calvin, same question.
So wait, what is it again? Kill,
share a house with, go on a night out with.
All right. John, I'd live with John. I'm the same, with Martin there.
Yeah.
Martin killed me. I killed Martin there, so and then I just go in the beer with John. We'd have to kill Martin anyway. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, we'd all have to kill Martin.
Kill us, so.
Same question for Josh.
I'd have to kill Martin because of the beard threat.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's just the beard threat. I'd live with Kelvin just because of that sunny disposition.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Yeah.
I mean, imagine waking up to that. And then John would be the date. Like a proper gentleman.
Hey, man,
I'd get
You turned it into a date fairly quickly.
Oh, no, it's a date. It's a date. I decided it's a date.
It was just a night out.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
having a date. Right? I'm having a date.
You see, it's the beard, isn't it?
I would kiss John.
Yeah, I'd kiss John.
You can't change the rules. So, John, I'm going to read these out again because there seems to be a bit of a mix-up here. So, kill... Share a house with, a night out with.
No kissing and what?
No. Only Josh.
No kissing.
Only Josh is into that.
You never said anything we couldn't.
Well, safest bet, kill the host.
Yeah.
Mr. Wheatley is dead.
Yeah, gone.
Number 2, Calvin. I think me and you go on a night out together. I think we'd vibe. Number 3, live with. Stable man. Handsome, strong beard.
Yeah. No, Martin.
Gotta be.
Have to go with Mr. Josh Chanin.
Yeah, it was a good choice. Do you know what?
That definitely could have been me, though. Like, all the way you were describing, I was like, this is definitely me.
I mean, I clearly said at the start I wasn't involved, and I was killed 3 times.
Yeah.
Like, who didn't kill me? Actually, no, I wasn't. I wasn't killed by Josh or Calvin, to be fair. So that's good. we've learned some stuff. So before, like I said, Calvin, at the start of the first question, Calvin sent to me back in episode 40, and I have answered all these questions that I'm asking on previous podcasts. Episode 40 was one, and there was one further back, but I couldn't figure out which one it was. That I've answered a lot of these questions. So if you want to go back to them and have a listen, and that's not because I don't want to go over, rehash the same answers, and I'd only score myself 10 out of 10 all the way through. And this is one thing I forgot to say. There's only one correct answer for the worst film ever made, and I keep saying it. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's the worst film ever made. There's no other answer. It's awful, and my two brothers made me watch it over and over again when I was young. And that Matthew Broderick, he's the most smuggest character in a film I've ever seen.
I don't know why they tried to make him cool. They tried to make his character cool, and it was as if halfway through you couldn't go, lads, this isn't working.
He's not cool, like.
We can't make him cool.
No, and he's on that parade, one of the floats in the parade, and he's miming to Twist and Shout by the Beatles, and I just hate everything about it. And then if you look into some of the cast, let's just say the principal was up to some very dodgy stuff in his real life. I'm not going to go into it on a podcast, though.
I think you have.
No, it could have been a few things. I don't know what you mean. What is it then? You say it.
You said enough.
No.
Separate the art from the artist, guys.
Yeah, please. Big Woody Allen fan over there. So I have another. Actually, I have another. Oh no, sorry, I nearly skipped one. So I'm going to go with the dinner guests this time. The 3 dinner guests. I'll start with Josh this time.
I would go with Derek Wheatley.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Joe Rogan.
Ah, my God.
Joe Rogan and Piers Morgan.
Oh, God.
The topic of discussion would be cancel culture and wokeness.
So 10-0-0.
I would just be looking at you to see your reaction.
Do you know what? 10-0-0. That's mental scores. I appreciate putting me in there. I go straight for Rogan, though. Straight at him. Like, not
with what?
Physically,
with what?
That wasn't good for the people just listening. With what?
He tapped his head. He tapped his head like he's intelligent.
I reckon Derek could be a pure Brendan Shaw. He'd be disagreeing with him at the start. He'd be like, "Yeah, Joe, you're right."
Hey, look who be the Brendan Shaw at the table. Have you seen Josh and him in the room together at the same time? Get ahead of him. So, Martin, how about you?
I'd go with Keen Teague, Hugh Hefner, and Mike Tyson.
Wow.
There's no intellect in it.
No.
But there's enough serious stuff going on that, you can just sit down for dinner and have a bit of crack, like, you know what I mean? And I feel like if we had the Hugh and Mike, we'd have serious banter. And we went to see Mike Tyson a few years back, and it was the most disappointing night that we had, myself and Keane. Mike Tyson came out and he couldn't keep his eyes open because he was so stoned. And we nearly were going to pay €250 for a picture with him. And then we looked over and we'd say if this was the picture and the person was beside him, he was looking to the left. He wasn't even looking at the camera. He was so big. So I feel like we were due another Mike Tyson night. You know what I mean? And the tales that could be told. So yeah,
that's an eclectic mix. Calvin,
this is hard actually. So then I was thinking about what kind of people I'd like at the dinner party, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I wouldn't like anyone being too mad actually. So I picked George Harrison first, right? From the Beatles. All right. Because he's a bit calm. He's calm.
Yeah.
And he'd have good stories.
Are the next two John Lennon and Paul McCartney?
Yeah.
I kept trying to think then, and I was like, I can't think of anyone. So the next person then is Pamela Anderson in her heyday, right? And then and Stone Cold Steve Austin is the other person.
Just slapping beer cans off people's heads.
George Harrison brings the guitar. Austin brings the beer.
And don't say what.
Who knows?
Don't say what she brings, please. So who didn't I go with?
John.
I went. This is actually the hardest one. I couldn't think of an answer for ages for this one. I went for in the end. Alan Turing. So the Turing test is one of one.
God damn.
Samuel L. Jackson, another good one. And then Robin Williams. Just
Oh,
so-
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
that's how you answer the question, lads. I do not know why. What part of the memo did you miss when it's like that kind of class comes out of it? This is the first round that's been kind of all over the place. I have to say, I was really expecting more from Josh. I'll be honest, because I was going to say before I asked the question, if anybody says Joe Rogan or Jordan Peterson, you're gone out.
That's
I would-
exactly. Do you know what? That's exactly why I did it.
Of course, I know that.
But I thought, who's worse than Jordan
But
Peterson?
you're losing now, and that you
Piers
hate
Morgan.
that.
Not bothered.
Okay.
I just wanna let-
I didn't even know it was a competition.
I've been independently scoring us, and it's not as close as somebody might think. All right, there's an independent scoring going on here, lads.
You
I give
don't know
over
how
the
to score.
secondary independent scoring at the end. All right,
Are you scoring yourself?
of course.
Okay. So the finishing results in that, Calvin 19 out of 30, Josh 19 out of 30, and he got a 10 from me. So that's Martin 21 out of 30, and John 25 out of 30.
That's fair.
So
Take that, boys.
That's
John-
fair.
Take
That's
the bank.
fair.
John is bumping up a few there on that one, but I liked it. I was actually expecting it to be more, I don't know, civilized. I like a more civilized dinner, I should say. Not that the podcast, if you know what I mean. But so again, this is a score and answer, but it's just one, or is it one? No, it's not. Sorry, this is 3 again. So the 3 greatest films ever made. Again, this is the same as it goes for the worst one. It's entirely. I'm not going to just, if I don't like the film, just say that's crap. It's on your argument or why you believe it's the greatest films or the greatest. You know.
Oh, jeez. I
So,
haven't got a good
that's all
why.
right.
Got a terrible why.
That's all right. I'm going to start with Martin anyway.
So number one, so obviously this is just my 3 favorite films, and it's hard to pick just 3 though, because like obviously everyone likes a lot of films or that, but 3 that I like watching a lot over the last 32 years of my life. I know I'm 36. Is The Count of Monte Cristo, just because I like the story of it, and I think that they made a good film with your man. I don't know his name, but they're kind of recent enough one. The next one Derek is going to hate, but Avatar. And the reason I like Avatar was because it kind of changed the game towards visuals. And I've seen it a heap of times in the cinema. And even though it's like 3 hours long or more than that, you never kind of get sick of it, except you, Derek, obviously. And then the next one is Aliens 2, but for a different reason. Even though it was James Cameron, right? It was just, the story was brilliant. And then what he did with his limited ability of special effects was phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? So that's my 3.
Yeah, Aliens 2 is one of those ones, because Alien is a great film, and then Aliens 2 probably didn't have any right to be as good as it was, and he used like, so many practical effects as well, which is, I love the kind of practical effects thing, especially with the horror films at the time.
Yeah, it gives you the creeps.
Yeah, it's way more effective than the digital stuff they use now, you know. So I'll go back to we'll go for Calvin.
These ones are, I find it hard to pick top 3. So these are ones I just recently watched.
That's right.
Right. So the first one I watched again recently is Godfather 2.
Oh God, it's good.
That one's hard to pick though, because I don't know if that's Godfather 1 and 2 come together really. So, but Godfather 2 is excellent. It's just great filmmaking.
I think it's the best sequel.
Oh, by far, it's amazing. The next one then is one I watched recently, Rear Window.
Oh,
yeah, I think that's a great movie, just like based in a room, basically. Very tense, great filmmaking. And then the last one is one I was talking to you recently about as well, 5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson.
So Calvin was on for one of the last of the Live and Joyfuls that we did, but we were talking about films, and Calvin was going through a phase of watching really classic films, and Jack Nicholson's early stuff. The 70s Jack Nicholson is like very hard to beat. And obviously, I know what you mean about Godfather 1 and 2. Obviously, they do go together. I would say Godfather 2 is probably slightly better than it.
Yeah, I think the second one's much better than the first one. I watched it there again a while ago. Like I used to watch them all when I was about 13 or 14. I didn't know what was going on in the second one. Only recently I watched it. I was like, all right. I didn't. It's so complicated.
I heard someone say that they watched it like 2 or 3 times when they were young, probably like yourself. They watched it when they were like maybe 12, 13. And then when they watched it in their 20s, they were like, oh, it's jumping back and forward in time. They never realized it until they were in their 20s that it was De Niro was young Vito and all that. Yeah, but they're great films anyway. So, John.
I went for number one, greatest movie ever made. There Will Be Blood.
I
Daniel
see.
Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Predictable, but
Yeah, but it is though. It's so good.
greatest movie ever made. Number two, I went for No Country for Old Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, good movie.
I think I've watched that 20 times plus. It's brilliant. Can't get enough of it.
If you say 12 Angry Men, John, I'm calling it. I'm calling it fix it.
There's a lot of Plumawson going on here.
Clemawson.
Number three,
Awesome.
if you look over Derek's right shoulder or left,
Here.
Oh,
Nah,
no.
nah.
No, he does. He does. I know he does.
Reservoir Dogs,
This-
2010.
I've
God.
spoken to John about these films before. Actually, probably less No Country for Old Men, but definitely the other two. I do like No Country for Old Men. I was like, it did rob There Will Be Blood of the Oscar that year. But like the two of them going up against each other is tough to choose from. But I think There Will Be Blood. That's in my top five anyway. But they're high scores. Josh.
My first one's Casablanca.
Yeah, knew that was
Partly just because it's mine and my wife's film.
yeah.
And also just because of when it was released during the war, it was quite controversial to go anti-Nazi at that point. So I think that was quite cool. My second one is The Apartment, because I just like how simple the film is. It's like, it's not about saving the world or anything particularly dramatic. It's just about just a simple guy who is getting screwed over by all his bosses. And I just think it's brilliant. And then I love Back to the Future.
Okay.
But I was torn between 1 and 3, but I think I'm going to go with 1.
Okay. I don't
3
remember.
3 is
3.
good. 3 is the Western, you know, when they go back to like the 1800s.
Yeah.
But I think
Actually,
I went with 1.
When you were talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off and how uncool he is, I was actually thinking if they got Michael J. Fox to play him, you could buy into that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And didn't they actually do that for Back to the Future? They shot nearly the entire film. And
With
had to bring in a second actor because the first guy just wasn't cool.
yeah, and he was like I can't
He was
remember.
in Pulp Fiction.
Eric Stoltz. That's his
Yeah.
name. Eric Stoltz. Yeah. There's photos of him on set and all that with Doc, and you know, in the middle of shooting and all. It's kind of mad. But Calvin was smiling a lot for the Back to the Future one.
That was a hard choice between 1 and 3. I thought that was funny.
Why? 'Cause 3 is crap, is it?
Yeah, I think it is. I haven't watched them in years.
I
But
haven't
I
seen
just
three.
thought it's funny. It's like, which one is it?
It's like I can't choose between Rocky 1 or Rocky 5. I can't.
Don't disrespect Rocky. Now, come on.
Sorry. I actually do like. We've talked about this before. I was actually Calvin, because Calvin, when he was on the podcast, talked about Rocky being one of his favorite films, and I do like the first one. I'm just not mad on the others. They're you know. But anyway, right. So if I add these up, we will have they're all like, they're high enough scores. No, they are. Well, John has to be the winner, is he? Oh, Calvin's the winner. Calvin's got 28.
Don't do me like that there.
John's
Don't do
27.
me like that.
He gave you what you wanted to hear.
Don't do me.
Josh is 25 and Mark is 25.
John only said the posters. He was reading the posters behind there.
Network, Reservoir Dogs. I was actually waiting for someone to say network, because it's there every podcast just over my shoulder. And there's another one, but actually it's behind the mic there. It's a Wonderful Life. That's a good film now as well. So I'll have to go. This is probably going to be the best answers that we're going to get, because you've already spoken about it. These lads are going to be embarrassing themselves. Actually, no, I'll ask a no scoring, one no scoring one again, because I've talked to you all about MMA before, all right, obviously, but I was trying to think of who your favorite MMA fighter was of all time. Like, I probably know Josh's and Martin's, but I'm not too sure. But I'll start with John on this one.
All time or current times?
All time.
All time. Fedor Emelianenko for me. Too exciting to watch. If you watch, I can't remember who slams him on his head, but he gets slammed on his head so hard. I kill anybody, but somehow he gets back up and just puts the paws on this guy.
Kevin Randleman.
Say that again?
Kevin Randleman.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. I was like 14 or 15 the first seen that clip on YouTube, and I nearly creamed my pants. So I was like, it was Fedor. What is judo? So that was kind of me.
I don't know a lot about him, but it's not a scoring round anyway, so it doesn't matter. I'll go for Calvin.
Favorite MMA of all time?
Yeah, or whoever. Like you can name him now if you want.
Geez, I don't know. Well, maybe. Well, you probably have to say Conor McGregor, but I like Nick Diaz a lot, and also Bas Rutten's cool too.
He's deadly.
Yeah, he's cool. So there's like three different. Yeah, I don't know. Between the three of them, I suppose. I don't know.
No, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
The
what about-
UFC actually tried to put together Fedor Emelianenko and Bas Rutten back in the day, and then they couldn't make it happen, and that's when Bas retired. Just a nice to know, guys. Just a nice to know.
There you go.
Hey,
There's the
you know,
knowledge.
I knew I asked him on for a reason. It's that kind of in-depth knowledge of the MMA world. What about actually? Go to you, Martin.
Anderson Silva.
Yeah, I thought he was going to say that. Yeah, why Anderson Silva?
I think if you go back to like start with the Chris Lieben one, and then like the 4 or 5 fights after that, I just don't think anybody's ever going to do any of that stuff again. Even though people say your man Adesanya is good or better, there's no highlights like what Anderson Silva was doing to Forrest Griffin and Okami, and do you know what I mean, Stephen Bonner. Like it was devastation. Like they didn't deserve to be in there with him, and he's his hands down, and he's basically just doing what he wants. I know he got his medicine in the end, but when he was at the top of the game, there was nothing like it. You know what I mean? And a murderer's role, like Rich Franklin and Dan Henderson, like, and then going up and beating the light heavyweight guy. Like the Forrest Griffin was just coming off the belt. You know what I mean? I mean, there's just nobody that was going to do that. And obviously now he's fighting one of the Pauls as well. Like that's legendary as well.
was the first time he was beaten? Was the end of his run against Weidman when he was messing
Yeah,
around?
the first Weidman one. Yeah.
And that was the messing around one when he was pretending he was hurt.
Yeah, and he beat himself really because he was getting tagged. He just wasn't on, like the slipping and the moving wasn't on point. He should have just changed his game and put his hands up and that. But he got hit with one too many. You know what I mean? Right on the jaw. That was it.
I was watching
end of an era.
But yeah, like I was actually watching the Olympics this morning and the boxing was on, and there's a young guy from he's fighting for Ireland, but he's from Northern Ireland, and I think his name is Walker. But he's a young lad, and the first round, it was just gas seeing the 3 different rounds, and I didn't even know they didn't wear the headgear now. I thought they still wore the headgear, but the first round, he just looked so, the little that I know about it, like I can admit that. But he was moving real kind of smoothly. It's a Spanish fighter, and he was throwing lovely jabs and all that. And then all of a sudden, I've never seen a fight so turn so quickly. The Spanish guy decided to go, right, it's going to be a brawl now, and I'm just going to go in as close as I can so he doesn't have that reach he had on me. And he started digging him in the stomach, getting up against the ropes. The last 2 rounds are just, I've never, like, especially at Olympic level, such absolute carnage in the ring. The Irish guy won in the end, probably only just, but just seeing someone who, he's so slick that immediately the coaches of the other fighter said, you can't do what you're doing. It's stupid. It's kind of, you're making it look easy for him. And he turned it. It was just great to kind of watch. And, but I didn't realize the headgear was gone, but I know it's 3 rounds, but you could still get caught, with a heavy shot on that, especially the heavyweights. Josh, who's your favorite?
I think it's GSP.
I thought you
just because I love the way he approached the training. The fact that like he would go against the best Muay Thai fighters and the best, like he would get beaten up in training by all the best. Like he wouldn't boost his ego and try and gain confidence. He would just constantly be getting his ass kicked by the best in the world. So when he gets into the cage, it was streets ahead. And I like the scientific approach. Like I know when he was facing Robbie Lawler, he had a guy with him. He was talking about this on a podcast. He had a guy with him who was working out how fast Robbie Lawler moved and reacted, and he knew he couldn't keep up. So they were trying to exhaust Robbie Lawler's nervous system by doing a lot of feinting. And I just love that scientific kind of approach to it, to each opponent. So I just admire the way he trains. I
think it's gas like that Robbie Lawler's still in there fighting. He's fighting Nick Diaz next. It's a pretty I don't know. I think I was talking to Martin about this already. It's a very strange fight to kind of look at because of Lawler has been active, not overly so, but obviously Nick Diaz hasn't been active at all in quite a while. So I don't know. it seems to be almost like a testimonial, or not a testimonial fight, what you call it, an exhibition fight rather than a real fight. But you know, it's Lawler he's taken some. I was telling Martin I saw a film recently, not recently, but a little while back. But he turns up as a police officer, and it's just really random as well. It's not like he's got like a part in it, you know. He's not talking or anything. He's just got like he's standing there as police uniform and a gun. Like, so I had to go into the IMBD website to find out. Yeah, he's actually in a film now, but he's not doing anything else. I suppose why not? We have another scored question to go, and it is the one that everybody's been waiting for. When I say everybody, I mean me, really. But we'll go on who we start with on this one. We'll start with for the guilty pleasures, and I'm going to score this differently, like I said. So it'll be how bad the song is or how guilty you should feel about it. You don't have to feel guilty about it at all. It's really what I think if you should feel guilty about it or not. I'm going to start with John on this one.
No messing. Justin Bieber, Holy is up first.
Solid effort, John.
I mean, he doesn't care.
Solid effort.
It's a 10. That's a 10.
Yeah, he doesn't care, you see. That's why he's a 10.
Number 2. I actually don't know the band, but I know Joe Jonas is the singer. Cake by the Ocean. I don't know if you know that one.
Why do you like that song? Because you'll have to explain why you like that, because I don't know it.
It's just pure bubblegum pop. Like, it's
Right.
just you like it for 5 minutes and then you spit it out and then listen to it again 6 months later. You know what I mean?
Is it a new song? Is it a relatively new song, or is it?
No. I think it's probably 3 or 4 years old by now.
Okay.
When first time I heard that song, or first time he was talking about songs, that's when I found out he was old. I was calling it Cake by the Beach or something like that, or something terrible. And I was saying it to my niece, and she was like, "Oh my god,
It's so lame." Go, John.
Number 3 then. BTS Butter is a banger.
Oh,
I don't care what anybody says.
is that the Korean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
K-pop. I like a bit of K-pop in my spare time.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like have some Credence and then follow it up with a bit of K-pop.
That's it, yeah.
I like it.
I think I need to game mine up a bit now after hearing those.
Yeah, they're good scores because
Solid.
He doesn't care. That's why he's got high scores in it. If you're putting your guard up too much, I'll see through it. That's the thing about it. I'll go back. I'll go to Martin next.
I'd like to start with, I feel like John has mixed in his plumossing with some hardcore stuff. There's been a blatant tactic here, all right? And I don't want anybody to get the wool pulled over their eyes.
That's all right.
All right? I'm now going to go into my answers. All right? Backstreet Boys, everybody. Like, that's a classic. That got us through our army training. Like, we had the CD there, and we were all singing along. Next one, Lizzo, Truth Hurts.
Wow.
Yeah, that's coming on. You're singing along to it.
It's a good song, actually.
And the last one is a classic. This is a true classic. Steve Miller Band, The Joker.
Yeah, that's like that could be in any bracket of the song of the music.
yeah, they're not bad ones."
I would if I had to sing a karaoke song, that would be the song I might chance. Because there's not really any high notes. I could probably just chance it and get away with it.
It's never stopped you before. But I think you should definitely get karaoke for the next fusion party. No, you should though, honestly.
We might, yeah.
It'd be good crack. Like.
In 2025, whenever we're allowed to meet up again.
They're good scores, actually. That Lizzo song is really good. Calvin.
First one I have is Time After Time, Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, that
yes.
song.
Second one then is Phil Collins again, Against All Odds. Great one to sing along to. And the last one then is If I Only Had a Brain from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's a brilliant song.
That's a good song.
I was going to use, at the start of this podcast, I was going to use a Wizard of Oz analogy because I wanted to, but it would have had to be playing around with it because I was going to introduce John in this way as, when they arrive in Oz and there's the big booming voice and then they reveal behind the curtain there's the dude with all the levers and he's the one controlling everything. And that was going to be John. I was going to be big booming voice. The problem with the analogy doesn't work because that's the same person in the film. So I said I'd leave it, but I'm so glad you're all gripped by it. And I'm really happy that I brought it up. Josh.
My first two are just indefensible. So the first one, Celine Dion, It's All Coming Back to Me Now.
God's sake.
That's a good tune. Great tune.
As gay as it gets.
Yeah. Okay, but let me just butt in there for a second, because I was in his car the other day and that was playing. So I was subjected to it. It comes on and he didn't. This is how I know he's on. He didn't care. He thought we should both like it. That I should be like,
I turned it up.
That's Dion on it. It's a great tune. It's a high score though, because it is terrible. Go on.
Huey Lewis and the News, The Power of Love.
Yeah, that is a good song. Yeah,
It's a good tune
Love
too.
that one. And then the last one, in my defense, the music video changed my life as a kid. It's Tony Braxton, Unbreak My Heart.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, does everyone know the dress that I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll change your life as a kid.
Do I know it?
Yeah, no.
I bought it. No. Calvin, sorry, Calvin. What did you say for your third one?
If I Only Had a Brain, The Wizard of Oz.
Got it. Yeah. That again, they're high scoring because there's some great songs in there, no doubt, but there's some terrible ones as well. So it has to be kind of a high scoring round. That's the end of the scoring ones. So I wanted to. What did I want to do? Here's one. So any suggestions, or not even, you don't have to name a person, but any kind of suggestions of who you might want to hear on the podcast, subject matter more than person, I suppose, because this person is like, it could be anyone. And we've covered an awful lot, as the people who've listened quite a lot will know. But any suggestions who you think might be a good, and you can't say yourself, because you've all been on it. Well, John, not yet, John, but you've all been on it. And
I think there's our answer, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Answered it for them.
No.
Solved.
Big
You,
John.
Josh, I'm expecting you to come up with something, because you always have something to say for yourself.
It's not true, is it?
Dead air is not good for the podcast. Let's go.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Oh, you're asking me who?
Yeah,
who,
of course I
Like
am.
what topic? I'm maybe
yeah.
dealing with grief.
Okay. And in grief in general, because there's many different ways of speaking about grief, and I do want to have someone on about PTSD, because that's something that I haven't covered before, and it's important, and a lot of people have experienced it in so many different ways as well. But I suppose grief is the same kind of idea in that people experience it differently.
Yeah, I think the response of grief is the same no matter what specifically triggered it. It'd be worth, because it's tough to talk about, isn't it?
It is, yeah, and it's it's easy for me to ask the questions. Like, it's not, the people that come on are always going to be the ones who are going to know an awful lot about it and a way to kind of help us process and all that. But yeah, it's definitely a topic that I'm going to have to get more.
Are you
people
going
covered.
to judge everyone's answers from now on in the podcast?
Yeah,
That you bring on everyone.
every single person.
Like a quick fire round at the end.
Actually, do you know, all I'm going to
three guilty pleasure songs.
after talking about
Yeah.
grief for an
Terrible
hour, just
answer.
like, what's the worst film ever made? But what about you, Martin? Have you got any in mind?
I think that there's a lot of political stuff going on at the minute about the vaccine stuff. So
Yeah.
some sort of chat about that might be good, because we all have our own opinion on it, And I see a lot of questions and back and forth on social media, and I really don't get involved in anyways, because you'll only offend people with your own opinion. But that's the thing, that you're allowed to have, me and you definitely have different opinions about a lot of stuff there. But you're allowed to have an opinion, I'm allowed to have an opinion, everyone's allowed to step away, and you know what I mean? That's all it is. It doesn't have to be a big falling out or whatever. A lot of time on social media, it does become, that kind of an issue.
Yeah.
And that. So I think something along them lines about, maybe, I just don't know who you could have on
Yeah.
to chat about something like that, but something along them lines would be a good one,
Josh seems to
Maybe
be
someone in
himself.
healthcare. I don't know. someone who administers them. But I suppose I'm biased.
Well, I think
But just like every podcast or everything, like every documentary, it's always biased. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
maybe the thing to be would have you and someone else on. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And it doesn't have to be someone who's like completely against it, because then I don't know, you don't want to have just someone who's on. It's like, I don't like vaccines. At least have some sort of reason or you know what I mean? Like, anybody can just shut down an idea or whatever, but you're allowed to have a counter opinion. But if you're going to have the person on a podcast, make it an educated counter opinion, not just a counter opinion. That kind of.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a moderator either, like, you know, because it's just it doesn't. I don't want it to be someone, because you can easily get someone from, if you were talking about politics, just for an example, and you can get someone from way over on the right and way over on the left, and it ends up then just people arguing over each other. And how often do you see that on television and pretty much everywhere, on radio, television,
Makes
all the
great
social
television.
media? Yeah, you know when you're sitting there like watching them and they're roaring over each other and you can't hear anything. There's
Yeah.
just not, and that's the last thing I'd want in the podcast. But you're right. Like if you got two responsible people, educated people to talk about these subjects and know that before it, you say, look, we don't want talking over each other, then it would be interesting. But I don't want to have to moderate a discussion where people are just shouting, because I'd get annoyed by it, and I wouldn't put it out there. I wouldn't even send it on to John to put it out. I just say I leave it. It's a waste of time, you know. But it's a good, like, yeah, if I can find the right people for it, not Josh though, because he's getting above his station recently.
But it will be something completely different, because
Yeah.
you've done one-to-ones, and you know what I mean? You know, and then obviously this is first time kind of having multiple people on the podcast, but something like that where it was not a debate, but a discussion. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not supposed to be a debate, though you could score the answers. Vaccine for the win and all of that.
Well, but again, that, like, if someone listens back to it and goes, well, he's biased towards you know, everybody's biased
Yeah.
towards something in an argument. But I suppose, like, even as someone who's trying to be in the middle and be a moderator, it's hard to be you know, neutral on the points, you know. What about you, Calvin?
I actually can't think of anyone really, but I watched this show recently. I don't know if any of you've seen it. It's called My Cat Nightmare. It's on National Geographic, and this guy is a cat therapist, and it's very stressful what does be going on. And you know, maybe you could reach out to this guy. This one night I was watching it, this cat was peeing everywhere. The cat was peeing everywhere every night, just peeing everywhere. And the parents were going nuts, and the little girl was like, no, you can't get rid of my cat. And it's just peeing all over the microwave, all over the computer, all over the beds, everything, man. And I don't know, your man fixed it anyway. The people were anxious, making the cat anxious.
Has he got like a little weird schmig? I know the guy you're talking about.
And he brings a guitar box with him with all cat stuff in
He's
it.
the creepiest guy I've ever seen. And then, like, without knowing what his profession is, he's as creepy as anything. And then you find out his profession and you go, that makes total sense. And he kind of becomes less creepy, which is the great thing about it. John, have you got anyone? Because I don't even really need to ask John, but have you got someone in mind? Because you can text me whenever you want and suggest one.
No one person in particular. Calvin actually reminded me. I'm watching a show myself, The Good Doctor. I don't know if you've seen it before, did you?
Is it a proper like, it's not a documentary? It's a
TV show. Yeah, it's about an autistic doctor. But just Calvin mentioned he was watching a TV show. You go for someone maybe with like some kind of neurological condition or something that can talk about their experiences. Like say someone on the autism spectrum.
Yeah.
Even relating it to mental health, like how do they feel about their mental health and opinions and stuff. So it'd be something interesting maybe as well.
It's a good point, like, to get to reach out to people, because we're all like, you and I talked about that, of trying to get everybody on. You know, I'm interviewing someone tomorrow from he's the entertainment coordinator for Black and Irish, and he moved over from Nigeria, I think, when he was 8 years old with his family, and he was on Facebook on the Black and Irish page, and he talked about when he entered a pub that he still, like, he says he'll always do it, and he will immediately see that if it's just him, the only black person in the pub, he starts to feel anxiety, and he starts to feel, oh, like, how many people in this pub dislike me? And I want to talk to him about the mental health aspect of what he's had to go through when he's grown up, because there's been racism and that involved. And so to reach out to kind of every single person, that's the whole point and what we're trying to do. But yeah, like, it's someone who is on the spectrum as well, to come on and have a chat. And, you know, like, I'm up for interviewing pretty much anybody who, as long as they're not just coming on for any kind of self-promotion. Have I had anyone on that? Well, maybe I have. I'm not going to say anything.
And you know, the cat guy as well. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, but the cat guy is going to be on for self-promotion. He's going to be sitting there with two cats in his arms. That's why he's going to be at.
What was his actual profession? I was interested to hear that. It made sense after that part.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Like, where did he learn his trade? Like, how does one go about becoming a?
The cats told him.
This is why we need him on the podcast. I also want to know this. Why do you carry a guitar box around? I don't know. What is it?
He's like, he looks like he should be in kind of a commune. You know, he's kind of one of those dudes that looks like, but he's got this TV show and he's doing something, right? I'm sure he's probably, because it's on an American channel. They usually make a lot of money on those channels, and it's reached here as well. So, but while we've all had the bit of crack there, I'll try and get him on though, Calvin. I promise, right?
Thanks.
We do have 2 winners. It's very exciting stuff. Where's Mick? Hey, it's the wrong copy. So what way will I do this actually? Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to read from 4th position up. Everybody, actually, there's only 11 points between the first and the 4th. So it's not actually as widely spread as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to say in 4th position, and I was accused of saying that somebody told me that this guy was going to win. It's Josh.
Oh, yeah. I'm embarrassed for you, Josh.
It's a tough loss. It's a tough loss.
Don't be too embarrassed, Martin, because in number 3, it's Martin Hickey.
What?
Yeah, you.
Oh, Calvin.
The 2 boys. If you just want to know the scores, Josh was 111, Martin was 117, Calvin was 119, and John was 121.
What can I say, boys?
Now,
what can I say?
Hey, who did I say was going to win at the start of the show? Who were the favourites?
Me and Calvin.
The boys with the taste. That's what I said.
This boys.
Can I ask a
Look at
question?
this t-shirt.
Are you going to rip it off?
already? You should. I'll rip it. Rip it. I don't know.
Yeah, rip it.
No, don't rip it.
Maybe in a couple of
Rip it
months.
off.
Maybe in a couple of months.
But it doesn't fit anymore.
No, not right now.
But what we're going to do, the reason, like I said, we're going to have a part 2. We're going to have 4 women on to see. I'm not going to be asked. Well, I'm going to ask pretty much the same questions. There's going to be some. I'm not going to be asking kill, live with, and whatever the other one was, because they don't know each other. Yeah, snog. They don't know each other. That would be inappropriate. But they're going to come on. They're all former guests on the show. I think actually, sorry, 2 of them do know each other from work. They're going to come on and ask pretty much the same questions, and the 2 of those will go through, and then hopefully have some sort of a final later towards the end of the year. Sorry that Martin and Josh will be part of it, but
I know I'm devastated.
But you are though, because you'll text me later on crying about it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Me and Josh are starting our own podcast.
Good,
Yeah.
good. What's it about? What's it about?
Manly stuff and beers.
You wouldn't understand there. You wouldn't understand.
Okay, well, manly stuff
And bears.
bears, manly stuff and bears. I didn't answer my question about the MMA fighter. Habib is my favorite MMA fighter of all time. Yeah, because I mean you can't really argue with that. I don't even know if anybody asked me that question before.
Surprised John didn't say that then.
John's answers are actually my answers. I sent them on to him earlier on. But
so can I get this straight just one last time? You said that John and Calvin were going to win, and then John and Calvin won.
I said they were famous.
Magically.
And you were marking the scores.
I am a sage. I am a
completely
sage.
Unpredictable.
I didn't say they were going to win. I said they were favorites.
Oh, right. Okay.
That's a different situation. And look. See, if Martin and Josh won, the 2 boys wouldn't say anything. And do you know why? Because they have a bit of sense and they're not as competitive. And you 2 of you are going, not so much Josh, but you, Martin. You're going on about it. You didn't care about it a minute ago.
I was going to say it there, but you were in the middle of a big long speech, so I wanted to ask that question.
It was a monologue, actually.
You were waffling about something to do with important guests or something.
yeah, you were waffling about the future of the podcast. But lads, I'm going to, because it's coming on 10 to 9, and I'm normally in bed. 20 minutes from now, I'll be, duvet over me, ready for sleep. Some of us get up and work out in the mornings and do a bit of running and stuff like that, So, but no, not sleeping well in this weather. But look, Calvin, very much appreciated that you came on. Coming in from Port Ireland.
Mayo.
No, you're not. You're down in Mayo. Yeah,
Down in
sorry.
Mayo.
Josh, thanks very much coming in from the kitchen. Not that the one that in here, that was from his own kitchen. John, thanks for your coming on for the first time.
Oh, good. Don't worry about it.
It'll be in the this episode will be in the Dropbox in about an hour. You can look after it from there. I bet you get this one out in time.
Yeah.
And Martin from his office in Fusion, thank you very much for coming in. I'd recognize that cupboard anywhere. So I'll say again to the engineer, the producer, and the editor, John, thank you very much. To my mum, my dad, my granddad, Ger, and Calvin, who always gets a shout out on the show for the music. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Apple, Anchor, Google Podcasts, etc. Thanks everyone for listening. It was a good crack to have a few different faces on screen, and we enjoyed it. And thanks again, lads. And we are going to say, take it easy and talk to you next week. Bye.